Okay, we've talked about attending events. You will see Meet the Buyer events. There are good ones, there are bad ones. You might have attended some that you think they've been through the motions. You might have attended some that are really good, and you get to speak to maybe the more enlightened in the procurement community who want to hear about innovation and might be thinking about appointing innovation officers if they already, and maybe just taking different views. There's nothing stopping you if you have a good story to tell. Obviously publishing that, and there are ways of doing that on portals such as the GovOps portal. There's nothing stopping you getting a case study nicely presented and addressing it to the organisation. Now that sounds like an obvious thing to do, but I guarantee some of you are sitting and saying, I can't do it. You can't just send it to them. Why not? Why can't you do it? What's, you know, nothing's stopping you. There might be a bit of effort getting to the right person, but again, doing a wee bit of research on their buyer profile might help you work out how to do it. So that's relationships. And positioning your innovation, I'm going to just touch on this briefly, but suffice to say that you may be sitting with an innovative solution, and you at least when you get into the bidding process, you want to understand, are you able in that bidding process to provide a variant bid, so a product or service A has been called for, but you've got product and service B over here that will deliver more effectively. Now there's some rules and regulations about you doing that. Are you able to do it? Are those have to be at least welcomed? And both Eddie and Phil are experts in the procurement process. They can talk me around some of the issues around that in great detail. But suffice to say that innovation, whilst I think we all perceive that government is typically risk averse, and Alistair said, I think it's a really good bit, risk pragmatic. We need to understand that if you're going with something that is perceived as having risk, you need to at least have come up with some tests, maybe from the private sector. You've maybe sold your service or device into an airline with highly exacting safety standards that may read across. So on innovation, keep it in mind, keep it as part of your thinking. Also remember that innovation doesn't just mean the product or service you are selling. It could be how you actually price the solution, maybe an innovative model. And then quickly on, I'd like to touch on embracing government policies. Now, this is a selection of themes that cover the UK, but just about every organisation, public awarding authority, will have an agenda around sustainability, and that may be and should include economic sustainability, environmental sustainability, social sustainability, and you want to understand, well, where are they on their journey? How do they what do they understand by it? What do they understand by the terms? Do they have maybe a charter? Do they have a paper that positions what they're doing in the community? For example, and you see the term here, delivering community benefits. In your bid, you might want to say what you're going to do, what part of your service will deliver in terms of adding value to the community. Now, if it's high on the agenda of South Lanarkshire, East Renfrewshire, Glasgow, Edinburgh, whoever, if it's high on their agenda to address certain points, think about it, put yourself in the shoes of the procurement officer, the evaluation panel. If you can't be bothered going to understand what's going on in their world, it's not a great position, but if you've gone that extra mile and understood some of the themes, some of the initiatives they're launching, you might be able to bring something to a community project as a sort of byproduct of your service. Okay, down to delivery. The contract, obvious key document. A couple of things to think about. In the negotiation, you've celebrated for the 30 seconds you've won the contract. then you'll look around the room and say, we've got to deliver this now, and we've got to get the resources in place. And it's possibly easy to be caught up in the thrill and the excitement of perhaps it might be brand new for you, deal with the government, but you've won a contract, you're very proud of it, you're excited, there's growth, there's a client that's going to pay you. Don't feel that when it gets down to the negotiations, you don't give in too easily. Speaking from experience, having made mistakes in the past, I would suggest that you should be standing your ground and arguing your case and negotiating. I think there are examples where businesses get too thrilled by the win and forget that there's still a contract to be negotiated and quickly sign off and move on, and then realising a contract they're maybe not as thrilled about and they could have worked a wee bit harder. It can be quite painful, and you get into detail on key performance indicators and how you're going to be measured, and you at least want to make sure when you're negotiating the contract and there are key performance indicators for your business, that they're ones that you understand them, they're clearly defined, and they may cover actual outputs and outcomes. So you could be demonstrating a lot of effort over a period, and there might be one of the KPIs that maybe beyond your control, but you've signed up to it, but you can at least demonstrate, we've put in this amount of work and that particular KPI wasn't met. Just keep both outputs and outcomes, but make sure that they're clearly defined. Another tip I would suggest, if you get into a contract negotiation and there's a bit of delay in signing, it might be something, and I appreciate there's a lot of experienced businesses here and there are legal businesses who you wouldn't start the project without some kind of cover, but you could easily get kind of caught up again and let's get started and we'll get the contract sorted in a few weeks. If you're going to engage resource, maybe sending them, it could be down south, wherever, hotel bills, flights, etc. Ensure you get at least a letter of commercial cover. We've managed to do that on many occasions where there's points of contract to be defined, but they want, this must go live, and I'm speaking in a sort of technology context, software, this must go live 1st of December, but the contract might take a month to negotiate, so get some cover, get a letter of cover that at least if the contract can't be signed off, you're covered for 20, 50, 100k, whatever period you would at least be deploying resources. Again, obvious, but it's something that we've done, it's worked well for us. Governance, perhaps if you're less experienced and you may not have formal sort of project managers in your business. Now, again, many of you do, but take a sort of formal approach. Understand how often are you reviewing the contract performance. Is it fortnightly, weekly? Is it telephone calls? Is it visits? You can rack up huge cost if you're going to go down to, maybe you're providing a service to a local authority in London, you've got a team of 2 going down every fortnight for the next 5 years. You just be aware, that when you're even planning your bid, you're building in some of the costs of governance. Don't underestimate the level of reporting. We found ourselves in projects where, we've agreed reports, we're getting better and better at doing it, but could we just have this other report and that other report, and it'd be really helpful if we did this, and get into that sort of, well, we want to keep the client happy, but you can then again find yourself spending a lot of time and a lot of resource producing reports. Something to consider on reporting, if you're in a type of product or service delivery that you need to provide a lot of statistics and a lot of records of number of visits or quantities, etc. Perhaps consider giving your client, the awarding authority, visibility real time over, if you're using a CRM system, web-based. You could prepare an area that they don't need to wait for the fortnightly meeting to know how many visits your delivery van made, or your maintenance guy did, or your how many visits maybe your engagement officer conducted. could give them real-time visibility, and that sometimes scores you a few points for being a wee bit innovative, giving them across the web a nice. It's easy to do now with products like Salesforce, SalesLogic, Siebel, all these CRM applications. You can prepare an area and give them visibility.